Hello everybody, this is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. Why is this still making this sound? Oh, I know why. Let me mute that. Okay, here we are. We watch old 16mm films here, and I made sure that the mic was muted because I'm having all sorts of problems trying to get my Mac reverted back to a previous OS so that I can stream from it, because it is being a giant pain. Also, I don't know where my lunch is. I brought my lunch from home, and I don't know where it is. So I'm looking. It could have been set down. It was in a little plastic container, and it was a hot dog and some tater tots. I don't know what I did with it. No idea. What a way to start a Tuesday. Anyways, besides me complaining about things, we also watch 16mm films. And so here's one. Free Air. No, I'm sorry. We already watched Free Air. This is On the Air. Enjoy.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air. Rubenoff and his violin. This is Hugh Conrad suggesting that for complete... Rubenoff and the orchestra carry on with the overture. As a solo selection, Rubenoff draws the bow across his Stradivarius to play Green Eyes in his own inimitable style. We present Rubenoff and his violin.
We're on the air. Let's see how the broadcast gets from the studio to your home. Of course, you don't hear the real sounds over your home radio. What you hear is a translation of the sounds. Sound travels in waves. The picture of a sound wave, if we could see it, would look very much like this. These sound waves, made by the musical instruments, travel in all directions at once. Some of them are hitting that microphone and being picked up by it. The microphone is simply an electrical ear, the ear of the broadcast listeners. It picks up sound waves and converts them into electrical current. The operation of the microphone is very similar to the telephone in your home. Any sound, such as music or a voice, pushes this metal ribbon back and forth, causing a corresponding back and forth movement in an electrical current. When I say 1, the ribbon moves back and forth. Watch again. 1. This action of the ribbon sends an electrical current along the wire that leads from the microphone. If I say 1, 2, 3, 4, the ribbon dances back and forth a lot of times and sends a lot of different currents down the wire. All the electrical currents from all the microphones are controlled and sent out to the transmitting stations. These currents form what we call the audio wave, a wave you can hear. The audio wave still looks like this after it has been changed into electrical current. We want to make this wave stronger, so we amplify it here in the studio control room and again in the master control room. Each time we amplify it, the wave looks a little bigger, like this. Now this wave must travel over wires to the transmitting station hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles from the studio.
Rubenoff and the orchestra now offer for your entertainment a rhythmic arrangement of Spring, Beautiful Spring.
The audio wave coming over wires from the studio is amplified again immediately after it reaches the transmitter. But the trouble with this wave is that it can't carry itself anywhere. So we have to produce another wave that will travel long distances and carry the audio wave with it. The audio wave looks like small water waves. It will only go a short distance, getting weaker and weaker, and finally dying out. In water, little waves can travel a long way if they hitch a ride on a larger wave. So for radio, we make a larger, more powerful wave to carry the little waves. This carrier wave is made by what we call the oscillator. The oscillator acts like an electric pump, producing smooth and steady power that looks like this. When the wave made by the orchestra goes into the transmitter, it is put together with the carrier wave by a process called modulation. The modulator controls the flow of the carrier wave and impresses on this flow the music of the orchestra so that the combination looks like this. The carrier wave supplies the power, and the wave made in the microphone writes its signature on it. The result is the radio wave. Now comes the job of making this radio wave strong enough so that it will get to your radio. In order that you may hear it, we have to amplify the current in these big tubes gradually through several stages. In the first stage, the wave looks a little bigger. Then it gets still bigger, more powerful, and finally, it thunders out of the power strong enough to carry it over a wide radius. This radio wave is then sent to the antenna from which it is released. It leaves the antenna as vibrations and travels in all directions with the speed of light. The wave spreads out for hundreds of miles, and finally, your own aerial picks up a small amount of the original vibrations. Radio waves from many programs are being picked up by your radio all the time. You can select any one you wish by merely tuning in your set to receive the same number of vibrations as a particular station is broadcasting. The radio wave is picked up by the aerial on your car and is carried into the radio set. This wave is still a combination of sound and carrier waves. and your radio set must separate them. This is done in a little device called a detector tube. You've seen one in your own radio. This detector cuts off the bottom part of the wave so that if we follow the top line of what's left, we have an audio current wave exactly like the one we made in the studio. Then the other tubes amplify this current, and as it reaches your loudspeaker, it moves the diaphragm back and forth and is translated into a very good likeness of the sounds you would hear in the studio. Listen.
You are invited to listen to this program at this same time next week, when we will again present Rubenoff and his violin.
So we have a lot more jam handy we're going to bring to you. We've been working with the Perlinger Archives on a lot of early stuff that we digitized like 20 years ago. And it's all up at the Internet Archive, but guess what? The Internet Archive is constantly under attack regarding denial of distributed denial of service attacks. It's really horrible. Because, you know, it's a wonderful resource and it's a place that we've been putting things and accessing things. And, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I, very much love, Jam Handy films, and so we'll be watching more of those as we go ahead. In the meantime, behind me, I have yeah, there it is right there. I have a film scanner, and we have a film set up. And it is something that very soon, I just talked to a contractor, very soon we might not be able to broadcast directly from the archive. We'll have to go back to my house and show you stuff there. And so we won't be able to do live digitizations and streamings, but it's okay because we have thousands of films we haven't shown you yet. So, anyways, so behind me, got a film. It's Storyteller. Enjoy.
Cyril, don't.
Why?
Because I said so.
But why, Aunt?
Because it's too hot to argue. Besides, you'll get filthy engine soot all over your hands and nice clean clothes. Muriel, what are you doing?
I'm looking for my lavender water. It'll cool me off.
Don't put your things on the seat. You never know who's been sitting there.
On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay.
Felicia, sit down. Cyril, don't.
Why? I'm cleaning it. On the road to Mandalay.
Why don't you go and look out the window?
Why are those sheep being driven out of that field?
I expect they're being driven to another field where there's more grass.
But there's lots of grass in that field. There's nothing else but grass there. Aunt, there's lots of grass in that field.
Perhaps the grass in the other field is better.
Why is it better? On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay. Why is it better, Aunt? Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay.
Come over here and listen to a story.
Do we have to? What's the story?
You'll see. Now listen. Once upon a time, there was a lovely little girl called Dora May. Even though she was only 10 years old, Dora May displayed the most extraordinary moral fiber and strength of character.
What is moral fiber?
Just listen and you'll find out. And the reason was, she always served those around her with gladness of heart. She always obeyed her parents, not to mention her aunts and uncles.
Why? What'd they give her for doing it?
Nothing. She played quietly with her brother and sister whenever they asked her. She even helped the farm workers. And because of her strong moral character, everyone loved Dora May. One day, a big mad bull saw Dora May in her pretty red dress and took it upon himself to pursue her. Poor Dora May ran as fast as she could, which was not as fast as the bull. When her family and friends saw what was happening, they hastened to her rescue. They told the bull what a fine little girl Dora May was and how she always spread sunshine wherever she went. When the bull heard this, he came to his senses and returned to his pen, ashamed of his action.
How did the bull know what they were saying? Do bulls know what people say, Aunt?
Let me finish. And so, Dora May lived happily ever after with her family.
Wouldn't they have saved her if she hadn't been good?
Well, yes, but I don't think they would have run quite so fast to help her if they had not liked her so much.
That's the stupidest story that I've ever heard. I didn't listen much after the first bit. It was so stupid. On the road to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay.
You, don't seem to be much of a success as a storyteller.
It's a very difficult thing to tell stories to children that they can both understand and appreciate.
I don't agree with you.
Well, perhaps you would like to tell them a story.
Yes, tell us a story. Yeah.
All right. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Bertha, who was extraordinarily good. She did all that she was told. She was always truthful. She kept her clothes clean. She ate milk puddings as though they were jam tarts, learned her lessons perfectly, and was polite in all her manners.
Was she pretty?
Oh, not as pretty as any of you, but she was horribly good. She was so good that she had won several medals for goodness, which she always wore pinned to her dress. There was a medal for obedience, a medal for punctuality, and a third for good behavior. No other child in the town where she lived had as many as 3 medals, so everyone knew she must be an extra good child.
Horribly good.
Right. She was so good that everybody in town talked about her goodness, and the prince of that land got to hear of it, and he said that as she was so very, 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 very good, that she might be allowed to walk once a week in his park, which was just outside of town. It was a beautiful park, with ponds filled with blue and gold and green fish. There were trees with beautiful parrots that said clever things at a moment's notice, and hummingbirds that hummed all the popular tunes of the day. No children were ever allowed in this park, so it was a great honor for Bertha to be allowed to go there.
Were there any sheep in the park?
No, there were no sheep.
Why weren't there any sheep?
There were no sheep in the park because the prince's mother had had a dream that someday her son might be killed by a sheep or by a clock falling on him. For that reason, the prince never had a sheep in his park or a clock in his palace.
Was he killed by sheep or a clock?
He's still alive, so we don't know whether the dream came true or not. Anyway, there were no sheep in the park, but there were lots of little pigs running all over the place.
What color were they?
They were black with white faces, white with black spots all over, black all over, gray with white patches, and white all over. Now, Bertha was rather sorry to find that there were no flowers in the park. You see, she had promised her aunts with tears in her eyes that she would not pick any of the kind prince's flowers. And she had meant to keep her promise, so she felt rather silly to find that there were no flowers to pick.
Why weren't there any flowers?
Because the pigs had eaten them all. You see, the gardeners had told the prince, well, mate, you can't have pigs and flowers. So the prince decided to have pigs and no flowers. As Bertha walked through the park, she thought to herself, oh, if I had not been so extraordinarily good, I should never have been allowed to come into this beautiful park and see all that there is to be seen. Just then, an enormous wolf came prowling into the park to see if he could catch a little fat pig for his supper.
What color was it?
Mud-colored, all over, with a black tongue and pale gray eyes that gleamed with unspeakable ferocity. Now, the first thing that the wolf saw in the park was Bertha. Her pinafore was so spotlessly white and clean that it could be seen from a great distance. Now, Bertha saw the wolf, and she began to wish that she had never been allowed to come into the park. She began to run as hard and as fast as she could, and the wolf came after her with huge leaps and bounds. Bertha managed to reach a shrubbery of myrtle bushes, and she hid herself in the thickest of the bushes. The wolf came sniffing amongst the branches, his black tongue lolling out of his mouth, and his pale gray eyes glaring with rage. Bertha was terribly frightened, and she thought to herself, oh, if I had not been so extraordinarily good, I should be safe in the town at this very moment. However, the scent of the myrtle was so strong that the wolf could not sniff out where Bertha was hiding. So he decided he'd go off and catch a fat little pig instead. But Bertha was trembling very much, and the medal for obedience clinked against the medal for punctuality, which clinked against the medal for good behavior. The wolf was just moving out of the park when he heard them. He dashed into the bushes, his eyes gleaming with ferocity and triumph, and he gobbled Bertha to the very last morsel. All that was left were her shoes, a few bits of clothing, and 3 medals. Clink, clink, clink. For goodness.
Were any of the pigs killed?
No, they all escaped.
The story began badly, but it had a beautiful ending. It's the most beautiful story that I've ever heard. It's the only beautiful story that I've ever heard.
A most improper story to tell young children. You have undermined the effect of years of careful teaching.
Well, at least I was able to keep them quiet for 10 minutes or so, which was more than you could do.
A most improper story.
And tell us another improper story, please, Aunt. I want another improper story, please. Please give me another
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, it was a great storyteller, but visually not very interesting. The movie wasn't that interesting, but there you go. You guys really love Jam Handy, so let's... No, you know what? I'm going to save it. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. What we're going to do now is we're going to learn about triple goodness. And what I like about this film is it is, at the very beginning, the guy who's kind of the host or narrator, he starts off by going on at length about something, and you don't know what it is, and he extends it all the way to the end. So it's like to the end of his like intro, and it's like, what is he going to talk about? What is it? What is triple goodness? Like, what is this film about? And that's what when I was watching a little bit of it earlier, I was like, what is this film about? I have no idea. And then he just drags it out, and then he says what it's about. So here's triple goodness. What do you think this film is going to be about, just based on the title? Go ahead and say in the comments, triple goodness. I think it's made in the late 40s, early 50s. That's all I'm going to give you. All I'm going to give you. All right. Enjoy.
The purpose of the picture you are about to see is to promote a better understanding of the vast problems and continuous work necessary in bringing you each day fresh, pure, and energizing milk products. The story of milk and milk products is typical American because it is a story of progress. Today in our country, milk is the best that modern science can produce. Our system of supply and pasteurization, sanitation, and low-cost distribution creates a model that is the standard of the whole world. It is with a great deal of pleasure that we present the following triple goodness story to the millions of people engaged in the dairy industry, to the farmers who twice every 24 hours milk their cows, to the folks who process and deliver ice cream and other dairy products, to the thousands of federal, state, city, and county health authorities who have contributed so greatly to this success story, to the many suppliers whose machines and equipment have helped process America's wonderful dairy products, to the dealers everywhere whose fine facility make these products readily available, to you, the American consumer, whose tremendous daily demands have made our dairy industry the best in all the world. And finally, old Bossy the cow, truly the foster mother of the whole world, the most important producer in America today. To all of these, we respectfully dedicate this picture.
Of all the faithful servants of mankind down through the ages, none has served us better than old Bossy the cow. Since time began, milk has been one of the most nutritious of all foods, composed of proteins, butter fat, carbohydrates, calcium, and a complete assortment of all the vitamins required by man. Truly a wonderful gift from nature. But only during recent years has milk been brought up to its present high standards of purity and goodness. Contrast the cows of a few years ago with the fine, healthy, scientifically cared for dairy herds of today. Remember the milking conditions of yesteryear? Compare them with the improved and vastly more sanitary operations of today. This replaced by this. Old-fashioned methods giving way to modern and scientific processing like pasteurizing, homogenizing. Procuring milk once troublesome, time-consuming, and unsanitary. Now, fast, efficient delivery service. Milk to you in sanitary containers, sealed within a few hours from the time it left the cows. Milk untouched by human hands. Today, milk comes to the customer, whether at home, store, or restaurant, at the peak of its triple goodness: fresh, pure, and energizing, enriched by added vitamins. The story of milk today is the story of progress in the dairy industry, of scientific know-how and meticulous care to bring you an improved product as practiced by modern dairies. A far cry from the one-man operation of a few years ago. Modern milk production and processing entails the services of many people: scientists, chemists, agricultural experts, and a large variety of skilled technicians. And of course, old Bossy. And many others like her on farms like this one that produces milk for foremost dairies. The finest strains of cattle obtainable, such as the well-known Jersey, the popular Guernsey, and the productive Holstein. Since good milk can come only from healthy cows, they are periodically checked by city, state, and county health officials, private veterinarians, and field representatives of the dairy. The cows are given the best of scientific care by experts. Old Bossy even gets a 4 weeks vacation every year because too much milking has proved to be detrimental to cows. Good pasture land is of prime importance to healthy and productive cows, and the first step in ensuring a milk of top quality is taken in the earth itself. Soil technicians, called agronomists, take samples of the soil, analyze it to determine what it contains, what it needs, and what it will or will not grow. The milk business of today is scientific every step of the way, from the ground right to your doorstep. The farms have modern laboratories where technicians conduct experiments continually to find ways and means to improve pasture lands. Rotation of crops, systematic fertilizing, plus the information obtained by these experiments have proved invaluable not only to the dairy producers, but to many other farmers in all parts of the country. everything possible is done to see that old Bossy leads the healthy life of Riley. And then, twice a day, she and her friends reciprocate by giving top-quality milk under the most sanitary of conditions in spick and span milking barns. The cows step into their favorite stalls and await the pre-milking routine. The dairy barns are kept spotless and free from dust. The clothing of those persons who handle the milk must be kept clean. Field representatives from the dairy make frequent inspections to see that the producers are complying with all sanitary precautions. This entails the cows being washed thoroughly in a chlorine solution before each milking. Old Bossy is not only a healthy cow, she's a clean one. She gets a bath twice a day. All containers and milking machines are thoroughly sterilized. The cups sterilized after every cow. While the cows are munching on their concentrated foods, electrical milking machines do their job quickly, efficiently, and sanitarily. The milk is then immediately cooled. Old Bossy has certainly done her part, but now modern dairy processing brings to perfection her almost perfect food. After being strained and cooled down to about 39 degrees, the milk is sent to the plant at the peak of its freshness by refrigerator trucks or in 10-gallon cans on ice. At the receiving station at the plant, milk from the various producers is first inspected by an expert whose keen sense of smell can instantly detect any off odors and tell if a herd has been grazing on anything that will affect the aroma or taste of the milk. If so, the milk is of course rejected. Samples from every load are taken, placed in sterile sample bottles, and sent to the plant laboratory. In the laboratory, under the supervision of capable bacteriologists, the milk is checked for specific gravity. Tests are conducted for butterfat and water content. The sediment is also determined. Microscopic examinations reveal the number and kinds of harmful bacteria present. If the bacteria count is too high, further analyses are made to determine the cause. The producer is notified so that the cause may be eliminated. An important place, the plant laboratory, because here the milk is under constant scientific checking and testing as it goes through all phases of its processing. Since milk is measured by weight, it is weighed and recorded at this point. From the receiving station, the milk is piped to the clarifier. Although it was carefully strained before it reached the dairy, it is sent to the clarifier for final purity assurance. Then to the plate cooler, where it flows between stainless steel plates containing cold water. This chills the milk to a temperature of 38 degrees or so. The milk held at this temperature ensures that it maintains its freshness. After this chilling, it is sent to the refrigerated storage tanks, where it is held a short time until needed. This man is a member of the Special Sanitary Committee, who make occasional and unannounced inspections of the whole plant to see that no unsanitary conditions exist. From the storage tank, the milk is released to the float balance tanks, which control the flow of milk to the pasteurizer or homogenizer. Pasteurization was a great step forward in the purifying of milk, and today almost all milk goes through this process. The foremost dairy uses the flash method. This method of pasteurization destroys any harmful bacteria in 15 seconds at 160 degrees. This method does not give the milk a cooked taste and is far advanced over the old method, which heats the milk over a period of 30 minutes or more. Grade A milk, which is distinguishable from homogenized grade A milk in that its cream line is clearly visible, is now ready to be put into containers. Prior to the homogenizing process, vitamin D is added to the milk. This important vitamin has the effect of promoting the utilization of the calcium and phosphorus in milk by the person drinking the milk. It's the calcium and phosphorus that gives us strong bones and teeth. Homogenized milk goes through another process which breaks up the butterfat molecules to give an even distribution of cream in every drop, making the milk of a perfectly even texture. Samples are taken periodically and sent to the laboratory, where the degree of homogenization is checked by examining the dispersion and size of fat globules with the microscope. From the homogenizer, the milk is pumped to the storage tank, where the milk is meted out in quantities sufficient to feed the bottles that have been thoroughly cleansed. The bottle washing machine is checked twice a day to see that the washing solution and the sterilizing rinse concentration are up to standard. The milk is automatically put into the bottles and capped and sealed. The milk is untouched by human hands from the time it is taken from the cow until it reaches the consumer. Every hour of the day, the technician removes a bottle or container from the line. It is checked for temperature, which must be below 50 degrees, also for flavor, butterfat content, and acidity. The phosphatase test checks the efficiency of pasteurization. Quality is controlled all the way. Most milk is put into new type sanitary containers, preferred by most people because they are lighter and easier to handle. This ingenious machine folds the container into shape, binds the edges, then coats the paper with a liquid-proof glossy finish. And then the containers are automatically filled and sealed. From the filler machines, the milk is immediately sent to refrigerated storage rooms. The whole processing is completed within a few hours from the time it leaves the cow. There are many byproducts of milk, but perhaps the most popular is, yes, you guessed it, ice cream. And the same meticulous and scientific care goes into the processing of it that goes into milk. The best products obtainable are used. First, the milk, sugar, egg yolks, and rich whipping cream are placed in a vat, thoroughly mixed and pasteurized. Then, ice cream mix undergoes the same rigid quality control testing as milk. It is then sent to the homogenizer, which gives the mix a smooth, even texture and makes each spoonful identical. It then goes over a cooler, which cools it down to 38 degrees or so. Then sent to an insulated holding vat, where it is kept at a low temperature until used. It is then sent to flavor tanks, where your favorite flavor is added. To the continuous freezer, where it is frozen to a semi-solid condition. Fresh fruits or nuts are added to the ice cream. The soft ice cream is then put into the various sanitary containers and sent to a hardening room of 20 degrees below zero, where it is fully frozen and stored until ready for delivery. Some ice cream items, like the ice cream cups, are filled automatically, then sent to the hardening rooms where they too await delivery. The ingenious Menashe machine picks collapsed cartons from a continuous supply, automatically opens them, closes the bottom, and delivers them to the filler line, where ice cream is filled by hand. Everyone is familiar with the chocolate-covered ice cream bars. Semi-liquid ice cream is poured into special sanitary molds from a multiple filler. After a rack of sticks are inserted in the molds, they are automatically conveyed through a brine solution that freezes them into a solid state. The ice cream is released from the molds by insertion in hot water, chilled again in the chill box, and immersed in a chocolate dipping tank. Looks good, doesn't it? And finally sent on their way to be packaged. The popular and colorful popsicles are frozen in a manner similar to the chocolate-covered ice cream bars. After being frozen, these fruit-flavored novelties are sent to the packaging machine. Here, the contents of the entire rack are dropped into wrappers in one operation, then placed in boxes for more convenient handling. And there you have it. Foremost products. Triple goodness. Fresh, pure, energizing. All bearing the name Foremost. A name that automatically means quality to the customer. The foremost name in dairy products. Scientifically produced and processed with a far-reaching program of quality control that means checking and testing every step of the way to ensure and stabilize the quality of our product at a high level. A product that we may well be proud of. To ensure the continuance of this high quality calls for cooperation and understanding on the part of everyone, from the man who milks the cows to the last retail salesman. The distribution of milk and milk products has truly kept pace with the modern improved methods of production and processing. Modern dairies now, by the use of refrigerated and iced trucks, transport the products to the surrounding territories speedily and efficiently. These refrigerated and iced trucks are further insurance that the milk and other dairy products that you buy reach you at their peak of sealed-in freshness, pure and with all energizing qualities intact. There are daily deliveries to grocery stores, restaurants, drugstores, hotels, fountains, schools, hospitals and institutions. And whereas the buying of milk and milk products used to be a chore for the housewife, now thanks to modern and efficient dairy delivery methods, these products can be and are delivered right to the door. Modern know-how, scientific production and processing under strict quality control, plus up-to-the-minute dairy delivery services, combine to bring to the customer a top-quality product at the peak of its goodness. Triple goodness, fresh, pure, and energizing. The most perfectly balanced food there is. Wholesome, nutritious, and tasty. 1 quart of milk contains the protein value of 1 serving of beefsteak or 4 eggs. In addition, carbohydrates for quick energy equal to 3 slices of bread or 2 servings of potatoes. Plus the calcium value of 4 pounds of spinach or 4 pounds of string beans. The vitamin A value of half a head of lettuce or 3 bananas. The vitamin B2 value of 1 pound of veal cutlet or 2 pounds of sausage. Plus phosphorus equal to 8 servings of oatmeal or 6 servings of green peas. All this in 1 quart of milk. Without question, it's our most important food, containing phosphorus and calcium that build healthy bones and teeth. And thanks to modern dairy science, these elements are made more valuable by the addition of vitamin D. The perfect food for the young, the perfect food for the old. A dietetic must on the menus of those who wish to rebuild worn out or torn down body tissues quickly and effectively. Good with any meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It goes with anything and is the easiest of all to digest. Or by itself, it's one of the most refreshing drinks there is. Representing just a small fraction of the food bill, it does more for the body than any other food. Your best food investment that means health and strength. Milk and milk products such as ice cream, America's foremost and favorite delicacy. Eaten and enjoyed by kids, everybody, everywhere. Strictly American, strictly good. Ice cream and ice cream novelties, many, many products, and all made largely from milk. Milk All fresh, all pure, all energizing, and all good. Triple goodness, thanks to modern dairies and Old Bossy.
And as long as you keep drinking it, I'll keep giving it with triple goodness.
Foremost toot toot, triple goodness, oh. Foremost toot toot, triple goodness, so fresh, pure, nutritious. Oh, so delicious, Foremost.
I like the very end. So great. So today isn't just any Tuesday. Today is my 13th wedding anniversary. Here is a photo from the wedding. I am wearing the deep sea diver costume, and my wife, I'm carrying her. How do I get rid of this? Anyways, she's been a wonderful partner to me, has put up with my shenanigans, has instigated some shenanigans, really phenomenal. She's helped me envision what AV Geeks has done for the last 10 or so years. And yeah, wouldn't she be a mermaid? So I would suggest that you look at the 10cc cover, album cover that features the song The Things We Do for Love, and you will see where that came from. Anyhow, love that you guys showed up and watched. And tomorrow, I don't know where I'm going to be. I might be here. I might be somewhere else. I don't know. It depends on if this computer behaves. But yes, Deceptive Bends. Thank you, Ernest. That is the 10cc album that we are referencing. The funny thing is, like, most people at the wedding, most family and friends did not know what that was from, and only Katrina knew. And so when I showed, I basically had promised my mom, she said, if you're getting married, you're not going to get married in the bunny suit. And I was like, I will not get married in the bunny suit. But then I was like, if I'm going to wear a suit, So, anyways, so basically I came from the sea up. This was at a beach house. I came up from the sea wearing the costume, the deep sea diver costume, and my mom was, I could hear her go, "Oh my God." And then they were all like, "Did Katrina know that Skip was doing this?" And of course she knew. I let her know. So anyways, that's love. And I hope that you have love in your life like this, like Katrina, or that you're seeking love in your life. Or maybe you have a friend or family member who gives you that love, that nurturing love. Or maybe you give it to yourself. There you go. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for letting us go down this path. And we'll be back again live tomorrow. I just don't know where. So we will see you soon. Everybody, have a great rest of your Tuesday.